I am recording this by the light of my fancy new shiny Metallica Pro LED model, and it makes me very, very happy. There's so much to talk about. We've got a packed episode here for you tonight, episode 159 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. It's a commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. I don't need quarters. Everything's set on free play around here. You know that. But only 3 balls. Because 5 balls is cheating. Except for Skylab out there, which is always 5 balls. It's different. How are you? Welcome to Coast Pinball. Thank you for downloading, for streaming, whatever you might be doing. We're coming to you not live from San Diego, California here on Thursday night, April 16th, 2015. Having a lot of fun playing pinball. Teresa and I just had a nice rousing game of Metallica against each other, and I won by quite a bit, and she's got to get the hang of Metallica a little bit. We'll get her there. It looks awesome, beautiful game. We'll talk about it more in a little bit. But first, I must start the show with
5 Fast Thoughts.
All right, number 1 on 5 Fast Thoughts. I am sitting here holding the latest episode. It's not an episode. You don't hold episodes. See, I'm so podcast-centric. I'm holding the latest edition of the Pin Game Journal, Jim Shelberg's Pin Game Journal, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a calendar. It's an actual content-filled magazine. It's an interesting one, and I know Jim has had some health issues over the past couple years, and we wish him good health. But it's nice to get this in the mail. It makes me happy. It's an interesting issue because it's sort of a mishmash of some older stuff, like 2014 Texas Pinball Festival, an advertisement on the back for Avengers Pinball. A little late there, but there is some other good stuff in here. There is a really cool article on dissecting the target bank on Doctor Who. There's an article on D&D pinball in Tucson, Arizona. So really cool to see this. I haven't gotten to go all the way through it yet, but it is so nice to get a physical, full-color publication about pinball, the hobby, the sport, the game that I love so much in my mailbox. So thank you very much. Great to see. Very cool. Number 2, 5 Fast Thoughts. I really am digging all the podcasts that are out right now. I finished up the Game Room Junkies episode number 50. Congratulations to Patrick and Preston on the 50th episode. They've taken a slight turn, a diagonal turn, not a left or a right turn, but just a little shift in direction where they're going to start including more things, all encompassing gaming, which, if they're going to do that, they really need to make an appearance at the Midwest Gaming Classic, because it's, of all the shows I've been to, it's the one that encompasses all of gaming, with board games and console gaming and everything. So when I was listening to their show, I couldn't help it feel, but it was like the Midwest Gaming Classic in a podcast, sort of. So kudos to them. Glad to see they've sort of revitalized their energy. It is tough to do a podcast continually, consistently, over and over and over again about a hobby as narrow as pinball, some would say, or as narrow as just arcade. So I think it's great that they've sort of reached out for some new things. I wish them the best. I still love their pinball coverage. All right, my sights are set on my next pinball-centric trip, and I can't wait. So number 3 on 5 Fast Thoughts, I can't wait until the VFW Pinball is in front of me. The Ann Arbor, Michigan Pinball Showcase, May 15th through 17th in Ann Arbor, Michigan. This is Clay Harrell's, by all accounts, mesmerizing, fantastic, awesome collection of pinball machines. 250 machines on site, from Wood Rails games to the latest from Stern. Every decade, every manufacturer, everything is represented in this museum. They have a couple of events a year. I will be attending on Friday, May 15th. I'm going to get there early and play in the EM World Championships, because when you think of me, you think of EM games, I know. And I can't wait to see Clay and see the VFW Pinball Hall. I'm very excited about that. Number 4, 5 Fast Thoughts. I am now ranked on the IFPA World Pinball Player Rankings 1,979th. That is a major increase in my ranking. I was in like the 4,200 range not too long ago. A strong showing, if I do say so myself, at the Classics Bank at the Texas Pinball Festival. Shot me way up. That's a good thing. What's interesting about my rank, 1979, that's the year I was born. Isn't that weird? I thought that was weird. So anyway, big mover, moving up the charts. This guy. All right, 5 fast thoughts ends with number 5. T-shirts are back in stock. I had run out of some sizes. I actually had orders for sizes I didn't have in the navy blue of the new logo. I've got those. Those will be shipped out immediately. Also, adding on to the website tonight, hopefully. Same design, but on a cool dark heather red T-shirt. So we'll have red and navy blue T-shirts here at Coast to Coast Pinball. $16. PayPal to coast2coastpinball@gmail.com gets you shipped anywhere in the continental United States, worldwide. Read the website. There's instructions there. And shipping's a pain. Shipping's expensive, so you're going to pay more out of the country. Sorry. So that's 5 thoughts. Those are the things that are on my mind now. Let's dive into a trip report.
Trip reports.
Let's do a brief rundown of the Midwest Gaming Classic now that some time has passed. You heard the show, hopefully, with all the great interviews from the show. What a undertaking that everyone at the Midwest Gaming Classic does just for the pure love of gaming and fun. It's amazing. And obviously, I'm there for the pinball. That's obvious. And it was packed. It was really packed. I told Dan that on Saturday. I said, dude, it's packed in here. And but in fairness, I got to play pretty much everything I wanted to play. There were not, huge waits for stuff. I don't love crowds. I'll be the first one to say I don't like being in anything that's crowded. I don't like to shop on Friday afternoon after work when everyone's in the grocery store shopping. I don't like the mall on a Saturday at 1 p.m. I'm not that guy. I like to, the mall at like Monday, 2 in the afternoon, love it. Arcades when there's nobody there, love it. But that's just not the reality of a show. Great energy, friendly people. You don't get any attitude from anybody, either showgoer, security, anything like that at Midwest Gaming Classic. So it does make it not so bad with the crowds. They're packed in there. What can I say? They are at maximum, I think, space being used in the facility they're in. They have openly talked about looking for another place to run that show, and there just isn't a good option. It works. It does work. And I think that the story really is the diversity of games and how much fun can be had. Really a cross-section of people attends this show. And over 9,000 attendees, 10,000, something like that. Great attendance, fun show. Highlights for me, I've been really, obviously you've been listening to the show, I've been really into competition and competitive pinball. They're handicapped up there on their ability to run pinball tournaments a little bit right now. Wisconsin has some laws. They can't run for-profit or buy-in type tournaments. So they have to do free tournaments, just give away like certificates, which it changes things. And they did a limited entry. I never did get to get all my entries in the tournament. It was pretty busy, not a lot of space in there, and I'm sometimes, from where I am with the show, I'm often torn between, do I go try and talk to someone and get content for the show, or do I just selfishly play the games I want to play, or do I hang out with friends of mine that I've met through the years at these things? So I didn't really get a great tournament experience out of the Midwest Gaming Classic. I wasn't able to get in time for Pin Golf or for Clock Chaos, which was a bummer for me, and that's on me, but a lot of people really liked the way the tournament ran, sort of a limited entry type thing. It was free, so that you just signed up and they gave you 2 entries on Metallica, 2 entries on Mustang, and 2 entries on Super Soccer. And there were 2 of each of the Mustangs and Metallicas and 1 Super Soccer, so you had to wait in line, get your games in. I kept putting it off, thinking the lines would get lower. They did not. The lines kept up pretty hard, so I never did get my Mustang or Super Soccer entries, and my Metallica scores were so bad. So bad. I just kind of threw in the towel on that one. That's okay. I would love to see them sort the tournament legality issue out, because with such a cool cross-section of people, I think you could expose lots of different players, not just the big pinheads, but you could expose all sorts of the arcade types and the console types to what a pinball tournament is actually like. Space is an issue, obviously, as well, though. So I look forward to that maybe getting a little bit of a boost in future years. But the show itself is so fun. I mean, it's so good. Lots of just fantastic games in really good condition. Saw some beautiful examples of Centaur. I saw a beautiful Centaur, a beautiful Metallica, Tron, Swords of Fury. I mean, that's obviously a big one for people right now. Definitely a hip pick, if you will. Lots of cool games. There's a beautiful Xenon right next to the Centaur, so it's amazing that people bring such nice games to these shows, and kudos to them. The after party, which gets talked about a lot, which is for folks who brought games or maybe are, quote, I hate to use this term, but it was on my badge, so I'll go ahead and throw it out, VIPs. Anybody that's kind of coming into the show from out of state or is going to be speaking or maybe promoting the show for them, like I guess that's what I am, get to go to the after party. And the after party is just a ton of fun, getting to play a bunch of pinball. Played with Ben Heck and Charlie and Dave and just a ton of people, Kevin and all sorts of good people in the hobby. You get to hear a lot of stuff in those after parties, and I have all this stuff I want to tell you, and I can't. I'm that guy. I'm being that guy. But it's a lot of fun. Bring a game to the Midwest Gaming Classic and hang out at the after party. So thank you to Mark and Dan for inviting me. I do appreciate it. It was a heck of a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting to meet Terry. You heard from Terry from Day One Pinball and Pinball Life on episode 157? Yeah, 157. And got to play their new Bagatelle-inspired Scoregasm Master, which is... it's just interesting. It's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And it's a lot of fun in a group setting, and I like practice my math. I can add up scores. It's definitely a lot of fun. Other things that went on. So I judged a cosplay costume. Spooky Pinball was kind enough to invite me to be one of the judges for their cosplay, which was actually a lot of fun. So I got to stand next to Dennis Nordman and judge this costume contest. And as I'm standing there, I can't take my reporter hat completely off. And I was, talking to him about stuff and asking him how Wonelli was going and whatnot. And he relayed to me that I heard, and so I'm basing a couple different things here. I heard Stern was going to run 300 Wonellis. I thought that might be a lot at that price point. It sounded like, from what Dennis said, if I heard him right, maybe up to a quarter of those games are already sold. This thing's been out for like a month. So if that's the case, that's really good for them. And that, regardless of whether or not I think it's something I would ever buy, the fact that Stern is building something so out of the box that is finding an audience only bodes well for the future of other projects to be run as, quote, studio games at the Stern Pinball Company. And I get that term because also I ran into Gary Stern. Gary Stern sort of made an unannounced, surprise visit to the Midwest Gaming Classic and just sort of checked it out and hung out in the lounge area where they're holding the seminars. And I was in a little circle of people, reintroduced myself to Gary. He kind of said he sort of remembered me. I don't know. I remembered him, though. And the second I said who I was, and I was from the podcast Coast2Coast Pinball, he immediately turned on the sales pitch to me, and I got to hear about how there's collectors, enthusiasts, and operators. Like, immediately. He was talking about all sorts of other stuff, like way more in-depth stuff about how it would be really hard to do another run of... Somebody asked him if they could rerun Batman Dark Knight. And he said, we'd love to, but the license would be really tough to do on that one. And so he was talking about all this sort of like not Gary Stern, big public speak type stuff that was sort of inside. And then when he looked at me like, who are you? Introduce yourself. And I did, to be polite. Immediately I got let me tell you, there's three things. And there's barcades and beer and pinball, which we've heard a few times. And that's okay. But I did just flat out ask him, I said, Gary, what percentages of the games that you're selling right now in the United States do you think are going into homes as opposed to going into operators' routes? And he immediately said, we think about 70% of the games are going into homes, which I was actually higher. I thought he was going to say 50-50. I was waiting for 50-50. But Gary Stern said to me 70%, so 70-30. And he said, however, if you take another, like a strong European market, and Gary acts as the sales rep to Europe last time I knew, which I believe he still does. He said if you take Italy's 95% operator business. So it flips the other way. So it sounds like to me, if you take the whole company totaled up, it's still more of like a 50-50 home use game versus operator, money-making game project. So it was interesting, though. And that's what I kind of thought, because the real growth in the United States the past few years, and there's been great locations pop up, and those locations do support these new Stern games. I see them all over the place. But I think even outpacing them would be all of us people buying new in-box Stern games, ... So it was very cool to chat with Gary for a little bit. He is really a genuinely nice guy in person. And And the guy is a legend in this industry. No matter what you may think of lack of code or not liking the themes or whatever. I know a lot of talk has been going on what's the next theme, and I did not ask Gary what the next theme is because he's not going to tell me. But the rumor mill, if you will, and this is not some new rumor. A lot of you are going to say, yeah, we know. But this was the closest to confirmation that I can tell you I got, was that the next release from Stern will be Kiss. Kiss was just all over everybody. No one particular person said it to me. I must have been told by 10 different people who said, well, you know the next game's Kiss, right? And then probably Game of Thrones after that. So looking at the landscape, that does make sense to some other things I've been told. Apparently it's going to be John Borg designing Kiss, Steve Ritchie designing Game of Thrones. Does that sound right? So that is the rumor mill. I can't confirm that. Maybe somebody else can deny that if they like to email me and tell me I'm wrong. But that is what I would expect to see from Stern coming up next. I'm probably missing a bunch of stuff from Midwest Gaming Classic. It was a whirlwind trip for me. It was a lot of fun. I can only say that so many times. But if you're, even in driving distance, get down there. Go. It's a lot. It's a lot to see. It's a lot to do, and it's an experience not worth miss. You would not want to miss.
Forum static.
This is sort of forum static and sort of pinballnews.com static. So Pinball News a couple days ago released a second follow-up story on the Predator pinball issue, drama, if you will, with Kevin and Skip B Pinball. I think Skip B Pinball is pretty much Kevin nowadays. Looks like Kevin and Martin at Pinball News got to talk, and Martin seemed to play it pretty straight down the middle and let Kevin get his side of the story out, if you will. I personally have a lot of problems with the approach that Kevin's taking here. I think there's still this undercurrent of trying to somehow save face or cover tracks, and maybe there's legal issues here that are causing that. I don't like this idea that the excuse to this collapse is going to be put on pure ignorance. I think that a lot of us who were looking at this situation were trying to give Kevin the benefit of the doubt, trying to say, hey man, maybe you were just naive, it's time to step away. And I think the more he talks, the deeper the hole is that he's digging, because he's starting to contradict himself against interviews he gave on other podcasts, like the Pinheads Pinball Podcast, on things he typed on Pinside. And we're beyond sort of that, maybe he just didn't tell us the way it was and was just trying to get the project done and didn't know and simplified it stage. We're kind of getting to the point where he's now saying things that don't line up with other things that he said before. There's a lot of things cited on Pinside in the main thread that houses all the talk on Predator, and it doesn't look good. And I guess, when I did my original Problems with Predator episode and sort of gave my open letter to Kevin and said, dude, just come completely clean, I really did think the best approach would be to come completely clean. And I feel like Kevin's coming halfway clean. He's clearly now saying to everybody, yeah, we sort of found out that we didn't have a license, and it screwed everything up. And he's actually even saying, whew, good thing we didn't ship those games, because they might have come and taken your games that we built without their permission. It's not helping. And the other thing he's saying is that refunds are starting. And as far as I know, there have been no refunds whatsoever. There's been some chargebacks. There's been some PayPal refunds issued. But I have not seen any evidence of Kevin sending anybody their money back on this project. And it doesn't matter what is said at this point, because it's done. It's dead. It's the game's dead. The project's dead. The reputation's dead. You got to send the money back now. And he's waiting long enough. And I think talking in this manner to Martin did not help anything. It actually prodded people who have been, I think, pretty patient for some sort of word, to kind of flip their lids and just say, all right, screw it. You're gonna come on here and just claim ignorance. We're going to take all legal course and action we have. And you have people calling law enforcement in Michigan. You have people hiring lawyers. It's ugly. And now I think Kevin is probably going to have to hire lawyers. Kevin needed to get on the internet and say, I screwed this up royally. It sickens me to think of how bad I did here, and I don't want to get into the details. I have to get your money back. And you know what? Look, if the PayPal account is frozen and you can't get the money right now, then you need to come out and say, I can't get the money right now, but as soon as I can, I'm going to send it back. I'm going to send as much back as I can. That's all you can say. But to come out and say, some of the quotes were just, really, really, really tough, and he doesn't understand why people are mad at him. What don't you understand? You were selling people a $5,000 toy that you didn't have the right to build. Of course people are mad. Even if you were naive and weren't truly trying to dupe anybody, which I'm not going to judge right now, even if you weren't, though, you should still understand why people are mad. That's a lot of money, dude. Let's just be real here. So really the only messages that should be coming from Kevin, forget trying to cover up and, we were just, he said again, Martin quotes him here, is right. But again, it's not a matter of deliberately lying to anybody, Kevin insisted. As far as we were concerned, everything was on the up and up. Well, when there's quotes about you talking about changing artwork due to Fox telling you to, or how expensive the music licensing was, and clearly none of that happened, unless I'm missing something, and I'll say this for the fifth time, Kevin, you have an open invitation to come on the show anytime you want. If I'm making mistakes, email me. Tell me what mistakes I'm making. But from where I stand, you were deliberately lying to somebody. You had to have been. There's no way you weren't. So quit saying you weren't and just get over it. Say, I screwed up. I'm trying to get you your money back. Or say, I screwed up. I can't get your money yet. I'm going to update you as soon as I can. Quit saying that if you email me, you'll get a reply, because there are people that I know personally emailing you, not getting a reply. So don't say that, because you're angering people. You're making people very mad. So stop it. Reply to everybody. Reply and take the heat. You earned the heat. I'm sorry. He says that is when the community at large just collectively blanked itself, and it spiraled out of control to the point which there's no way you can save it as a project at this point. The only amicable thing to do here is to send everybody's money back and tell them the story afterwards. Well, quit talking about it and send the money back, then tell the story afterwards. Martin goes on to write, and refunding the money is Kevin's priority. Quote, yeah, that's paramount. That's number one. Everybody needs to get their money back so they can understand I didn't blow all their money on crap, and it's obviously not as bad as they thought it could be. Once that's done, maybe people will take a more objective look towards what was going on and say, well, maybe if that was untrue, I guess this might be untrue, and ... Hopefully, after hearing some of these things, people will understand all the better where I'm coming from. Dude, stop it. For real. It doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. You're not going to win back the majority of people no matter what you do. You could give them all their money back plus the interest that technically you kind of could be argued that you owe them on their money that you've been holding. And you could give them a back rub and wash their car and take their mom out for Sunday brunch. You're still not going to win back your reputation so soon. Have maybe some mistakes been made by the anonymous group, or by maybe the first pinball news article, or things posted on the internet, or maybe me, whatever? Have some things been said that weren't quite right timeline wise, or said? Yeah, I'm sure there's been something in there that wasn't quite right. But dude, let's be real here. You're not gonna point to, well, that wasn't true, so maybe nobody's gonna believe that somehow you really had a license in your head to build this game. And even if you really are in a situation where you truly believed you could be a not-for-profit company and just put all this money back into the company and build a game, an amusement game that you're selling at a profit and being up for it. Just, dude, it doesn't add up, man. You got to send the money back. There's nothing else for you to do but get the money back to people. And I want to hear the story. I really do. Like, I would love you to come on the show. I would love you to. I will buy you a Sunday brunch if you come on the show and have a level-headed conversation about things with me. But I'm going to ask the really, really difficult, sticky questions, which I'm not sure you've answered yet. But I don't really want you to until you start sending money back, because that's all that matters at this point. So I wish the people trying to get their money back from this project good luck. And you know, sorry. I literally had to pause this episode and go play a game on my new Metallica Pro LED just to cleanse my palate of all the bad vibes from the implosion of Predator. Just, not fun. So, I just played an awesome game of Metallica. I mean, I played okay. I scored like 60 million or something like that. I got to crank it up, played For Whom the Bell Tolls, had fuel lit, bricked the jackpot shot like 3 times, and only got 20 million, which could have been so big, if you know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, my Stern game got here on, what was it, Tuesday. And I met it in the middle of the day. I came home early from work and, delivered it into my garage, and 270-something pound box. You wait for somebody else to help you, right? Not when you're me, not when you're foolish. So I unboxed it in the garage, put it on my little dolly with 2 flat tires, because, that's how I roll. I roll with flat tires. And I muscled it into my office, set it up, and had a blast, and have been having a blast. The game's awesome. It's a great counterpoint to what now is this 3-pronged attack of pinball in my office of Twilight Zone, America's Most Haunted, and Metallica. The rule set's great. The ramps are beautiful. The LEDs look awesome. I haven't even replaced any LEDs yet. I don't even know what I'm going to do. Looks good. The only problem, I've had like 2 people ask me, like, any problems? I had one problem. I had one LED work itself loose out of one of the spotlights, but that happens all the time. So I just got to put a little hot glue in there and get that thing stuck in. It's a great game. It's so much fun. A lot has been made of the changes to the back box. It's a metal box with side panels on it now. I like it. I actually like it a lot. The full color side panels are beautiful. I don't know if I love the silver trim on the game, but I guess it's better than exposed wood like down on Twilight Zone, but that's all right. The DMD panel is angled, not flat, or downward a little bit, tilted down towards the glass, so you don't get that reflection and glare, which is just brilliant. Why did it take us so long to get there? So I'm really happy. There's this like new in-box fever that you get, because I bought America's Most Haunted, and before that I was really of the mindset, just like I won't buy a brand new car, I just don't do it, because I know there's just a lot of lost value right off the bat. I'm generally not one to, go run out and buy big expensive things like a pinball machine brand new when I know they're out there used. America's Most Haunted was different because it was not going to be available used, or at least not very easily or anytime soon, so I wanted it new. And then I really waited on Metallica. If you go back and listen to when Metallica was released, I was super positive on the theme, super positive on the artwork, and I went out and played it, and I was, slightly underwhelmed because the game wasn't doing much. This code issue was very much nagging Metallica, and over the past couple years, we've just seen, an amazing set of rules and gameplay concepts thrown into Metallica that really just make it so fun. There's so many different ways to play and attack the game. It's really fantastic. So I fell in love with this game playing it over the last 2 years on location all around the country. I really did. You see this game everywhere right now. It's in tournaments everywhere. I just fell in love with the call-outs, with the DMD animations, with the art, and I knew I wanted it. So I kept thinking, a Pro is going to pop up used in San Diego, LA eventually, right? And I've missed a couple, granted, but not very many. And then they switched to this LED version that came with all the LEDs, with the new back box, with the different panel. And I wanted that. I actually liked the concept. I like having the DMD not facing down. That's kind of a big deal to me. I think it's cool. So I wanted that. So now I'm going to be waiting for just an LED Pro. and that probably wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So I took the plunge when I heard there was one final run of Metallica. I would love to ask somebody at Stern if Metallica has caught AC/DC in sales, because I know that a lot of people have said, and I have not heard officially, but I've heard really unofficially, that AC/DC's been their best-selling game of the modern Stern era. I'd love to know where Metallica ranked up against that, and I will try and remember to do some investigative research into that one, because it's a fantastic game. I am a Metallica fan, for those of you who haven't been listening for a long time to the show. I do really like Metallica. I'm a guitar player. I work in the guitar business. I grew up playing guitar. I grew up literally buying Metallica tablature music books to learn all their songs. I was sort of late to the Metallica game because I'm fairly young, and I heard Injustice for All was the first Metallica I ever heard. I think it scared me because I was in like the third grade, and it wasn't until the Black Album that I really became super aware, because that's like I was like 11 or 12 years old. So anyway, very, very pleased with this purchase. I need to buy a few things. I should probably put a Cliffy protector on the mystery hole. There's some cool neon green plastic protectors that are for sale. I probably get those. I like the way those look. I saw those at MGC. There is a Fang mod from Measle Mods in New Mexico. I'll probably get that. And the sticker that is like the tongue for the snake, probably get that. So there's a few things, but I'm not going to go crazy on this game, because the reality is, I don't have a ton of people over here, so I don't really need all those mods for my personal game. Just a few things. Maybe buy a Color DMD when Color DMD gets dots done for Metallica. So that's my thought. So, in with the new, out with the old. I got Metallica in here, and I had 4 games, because I had a Bride of Pinbot in here as well. And I had really grown to like having only 3 games in my office. I have some guitars, I have a keyboard, I have computers in here. Here at Coast2Coast Pinball Studios, where we're coming to you not live a few times a month. I like the space. 3 is the right number in here. So I listed the Bride of Pinbot, the Machine Bride of Pinbot game, on Craigslist here locally, San Diego. I priced it pretty, I won't say low, but very fairly. I priced it at $1,500. I posted lots of photos and a video of the game. I listed all the things wrong with it, that it had a German coin mex in the door. It was a re-import, that it had, some Mylar bubbles and some dings in the cabinet. And I listed everything I could, tried to undersell it. And a really nice guy from the local San Diego scene, who actually operates some games, emailed me, came over. He actually knew the show, which is incredibly flattering, so thank you. I won't say your name on here, but he was very cool. Brought his friend with him. They came and played. He actually has America's Most Haunted on order, so he wanted to play that. Got to play that. Showed him that game a little bit. Paid me for the game. Helped him with it out. Clean, simple transaction, the way I like to do it, because I hate selling games. He was actually saying he might put Bride of Pinbot on location at the High Dive here in San Diego, so that's pretty cool. So I like that. One little side note, because it's amusing more than anything else, is this gentleman who bought Bride of Pinbot's actually pretty good friends and acquaintances with one Mr. Keith Elwin, the number 2 ranked player in the world currently right now, but maybe the best pinball player in our lifetime, Keith Elwin, who is a San Diego area local, and he had actually told Keith he was buying a game for me, and said, "Hey Keith, you got to come on his show sometime." And I guess Keith, this is sort of my open invitation to Keith here, and I've met Keith a few times. I don't know if he really knows who I am or whatnot. I guess Keith is kind of the assumption that he wouldn't have much to say or wouldn't be that interesting, and I just couldn't disagree more. I think people would love to hear just some quick talk from the greatest pinball player on the planet, arguably, the current reigning Papa world champion, if nothing else. I think it'd be a lot of fun to have Keith on. So if I have like a list of people I want to talk to on this show, officially on Coast2Coast Pinball, I mean, I've talked to Keith before, but talked to him officially, he's at the top of the list, especially as far as the tournament and the player side of the world goes. Keith's just the top, absolute top of the list of who I'd like to come on the show. So hopefully someday we'll get that rare Keith Owen appearance on Coast2Coast Pinball. So out with the old Bride of Pinball, in with the new Metallica. I couldn't be happier. It's really a beautiful addition to my office here.
Bowen's Cheat Sheet.
All right, Bowen, today I want to talk about one of the games that I think we see often I see it in Papa's finals a lot for whatever reason. It's one of the classic games of all time, and we'd love to get some strategy here on the Addams Family. And I know you've done a great tutorial video on Papa. Tell the listeners what are the basic approaches to try and put up a good qualifying type score on the Addams Family.
So Addams Family has two major things you can try for. One is the multi-ball, which is set up by shooting the bookcase on the upper right side, spelling out greed, opens the bookcase, but usually lights locks as well at the thing hole and maybe even in the side hole. So locking up two balls will light the multi-ball, which is started at the electric chair or at the vault, the greed shot. Once you're in multi-ball, you don't want to try to shoot the side ramp for a double or a triple jackpot. The first multi-ball, it's double jackpot. The second multi-ball or thereafter, it's a triple jackpot. And that's a good jackpot. It's at least 20 million, sometimes can be as high as even 50 million. So that's a huge amount of points if you can pull off one or two or three jackpots. When you make a jackpot on Addams, you relight by shooting the vault. So it's not too difficult to get several jackpots in the same multi-ball, and each one of those jackpots is worth a large number of points. So I like to use that as a sure thing. I want to get into at least one multi-ball in any game of Addams Family, and if I don't achieve that, it's a failure.
Do you backhand any of those shots?
Yeah, I've taken a backhanding the bookcase. So if the ball is trapped on the right flipper, a lot of players will go for the electric chair, which is a crossfield shot, and my tendency is to avoid those crossfield shots because they are the shots that get out of control, and they're also the shots that when they reject down the middle. Where if I shoot the electric chair from the left flipper and I miss, it's most likely just going to come back to my left flipper again. And bad things can still happen, and they do, but you're safer shooting the electric chair from the left than from the right. So from the right flipper, I backhand the bookcase to get a greed letter, and then you can hit the ball with the side flipper at that point and even get it around the side ramp. That's the ideal. Backhand it into the greed, shoot the side ramp, and then you've relit the chair, you've got 1/5 of the way to multi-ball, you've got unlimited millions off the side ramp, you might have thing lit, there's lots of positive things happening from that.
Do you shoot the thing flips ball on the left mini flipper when it's coming down, or do you let it return to the left flipper? I
do neither of those. And the reason why is that both of the things you just said are very dangerous. So if you take a side shot at the 5X graveyard, yeah, you might make it and get a lot of points, but you also might shoot the out lane. You might hit the targets near that hole and then bounce it around down to the middle. Any kind of crossfield sideways action that the ball takes is dangerous. You want to avoid that if you can. The other option that you mentioned is to just let the ball go and hope it goes down one of the in lanes. But what happens quite often on tournament machines especially is that they're set up for the ball to hit that little metal rail between the two in lanes and then hop over into the out lane. I call that the avatar. When that happens, you just feel like a Dumbo because you let the ball go and you lost when you had it near a flipper. So what I do is I hold that side flipper out, hold it up, don't fire it, and let the ball roll off that flipper towards the middle. And
what a valuable piece of information that is.
And it's going to roll off towards the middle, usually to the left flipper for a live catch, but sometimes, depending on how the game is set, it will go towards the right flipper, and that's fine too, as long as I can generally feel confident that I can save a ball coming in that direction. It's not going to hit any slingshots. It's not going to get out of control, and then you get the ball to a catch. You make a new decision from that point. So if I'm playing for mansion rooms, which is the other way to play the game, what I'm going to do is I'm generally going to not bother with the bear kick ramp. Bear kicks give you extra ball. There are no extra balls in competition. So I want to shoot the thing shot in the back top. I don't know what to call that shot. It goes in the back of the game. Kicks out to the upper flipper, shoot the side ramp, then hold up that little mini flipper, get a catch, and then backhand it into the electric chair.
Excellent.
Kicks out of the electric chair. Try to bounce it over to the right side. If bounce over doesn't work, then I will shoot the bear kick instead. And it's this cycle of 3 or 4 shots. The nice thing about getting a cycle going like that is you can just keep going and chug, and you get better at it over time because you realize why you're missing. So if you can focus in tournament play on 3 or 4 key shots and just get better at those shots as the game goes on, you're going to end up with a really good score on Adams.
Check the email.
All right, before we jump into the emails, I do have to say, man, there is a Bo and Karen's effect in effect. Can I say that? Ever since Bowen came on the show, like, I know his website hits are up, downloads are up, emails are up. I think that Bowen's cheat sheet's kind of a cool addition to Coast to Coast Pinball. Glad you folks are liking it. I'm doing this to stall so I can get my email open. I started recording a little too quick here. So let's see what we got in the email. I had starred some emails earlier to find for the show. I'm way behind. So let's say, here we go. Nate, I heard you discussing the off-topic posting on Pinside, and then you didn't follow up. I wrote you my opinions, which largely mirrored your own. Just curious what others may have said. I saw you take some heat on Pinside. I have a couple threads bookmarked, but largely don't browse the forum much, more because there's just too much and not because of offensive or out-of-context posts, again, which I don't care for, but it's not like it keeps me away. Thanks for the interview with Andrew Highway. Very excited about Alien. Take care, Martin. Thank you, Martin. Well, I don't know. What was I going to say? I love Pinside. I certainly didn't want to come off like I was criticizing Pinside. I just was also frustrated with specifically some of the things going on in a couple posts. I mean, honestly, I probably got 15 to 20 emails saying, dude, I'm right there with you. I don't even go on Pinside anymore, or I don't like all the off-topic posting. But on Pinside, the people who are actually on Pinside, they disagreed with me. So the user base spoke there for the most part. So whatever. No big deal. But yeah, I don't think there was much follow-up needed. I said my piece. Charlie thinks I don't like the female upper half, and I disagree greatly with Charlie. Nate, I was compelled to write you after playing WrestleMania on location for the first time this weekend. I don't like it at all. I think you were either too kind to it or haven't played it enough. It doesn't flow well. The ball just spends way too much time in the ring. For me, this is a definite pass, even though I really loved wrestling growing up and thought this could be my first new in-box game. This and the bad center drainage of The Walking Dead have me a bit bummed about the latest Stern releases. Hopefully the next game is more like Tron or Spider-Man or Metallica. Solid layout, no lame design flaws. Love the show. We need more Teresa. Eric in Jersey. Eric, Teresa's welcome on my show anytime she wants, but she's currently asleep. She goes to bed sort of early. She's teaching the youths of America how to read and write and learn right from wrong, as it may be sometimes in the first grade. So, we'll get Teresa back on here. WrestleMania. I played it some more at both the Texas show and the Midwest Gaming Classic. I think there's a lot of potential there. I actually really like that it doesn't have the same sort of flow that Spider-Man and Metallica and Star Trek and all those games sort of have. Not that Metallica's a real flowing game, but that doesn't have that sort of ramp feel. It's different. In WrestleMania, when you hit those ramps, it goes up into this whole other thing. It doesn't kind of return back down. It's just very different. I think that's good. I think that's good for people who are actively playing all the releases out on location. It was interesting listening to Greg Dunlop talk last night on the show we did about going and seeking out finding the new games. I feel a little bit like that because I do get to travel to quite a few places. So when a new game is released, I tend to run into it fairly quickly. And there is sort of an excitement of just the first time I get to put my hands on the flippers and plunge balls on a new game. And WrestleMania is different. It is certainly different. It's busy to look at, but there are just some main shots that you need to dial in. The code is going to make or break that game. I think a lot of people thought the theme was going to make or break that game. I think the theme has gone over okay. But I think the code is going to make or break that. I agree completely about the ball time in the actual wrestling ring with the slammers. I think the code needs to rewrite how those work. I wish that the slammers were not always active with the flipper coils. I wish that it turned on and turned off, if you would. Or maybe activate some sort of hurry-ups, so it's in your absolute best interest to let the ball get out of that ring as quickly as possible to then make a shot or do something. That might be the other way, to incentivize you to get the ball out of the ring. So something I've thought about that a lot too, because I want to like WrestleMania. I have a little piece of me that's really into that. So anyway, Eric, first time email. Thank you very much for the email to the show. What else do I got here? Thanks so much for getting Mark Ritchie on the show. He's my favorite designer, as I own Taxi, Fishtails, and as of this weekend, a Firepower 2. Very nice. Could you see Mark doing a design for Jersey Jack or someone else in the future? Thanks for all the shows. My drives to work with Coast to Coast are the best. Aiden. Aiden, I asked Mark on the show at the Texas Pinball Festival if he would like to design another game, and he said absolutely he would like to. Will he? Can he? I don't know. Is there room? We're at this. I think we're kind of at the end of the era, and I don't mean like today or this year even, but we're sort of nearing this spot where some of the classic designers are older, and they won't be designing forever, and we're gonna start to see new people design. Now, Mark Ritchie's certainly not anywhere near too old to design a game, but what's that opportunity going to look like? Will there be, more room at Stern someday where maybe Mark does a game for Stern? Possibly. Could there be a project outside of, Stern or Jersey Jack? Maybe Jack will need a new designer down the road. But maybe there's something else. Maybe there's something in the lines of Multimorphic or Highway Pinball or something like that. Or maybe Mark teams up with somebody kind of like Dennis Nordman and Greg Ferris did with Whizbang Pinball. Maybe Mark teams up with somebody and pitches an idea and has it built on a lower scale, either by Stern as a studio game or by somebody like Spooky, who 2 years from now might need to build games again. But I think they're pretty busy. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would like to see what Mark Ritchie could bring to pinball in 2015, but I'm also kind of excited about what some fresh eyes and fresh design ideas could possibly bring. That's why I was so eager to get in on America's Most Haunted. It was new blood on some level. I liked that about it. So, great question, and Aiden, thank you very much for the kind words, and hopefully your drive-in Friday morning will be nice and easy. So. T-shirts are on the website. There will be a red option as soon as I get them up. Don't know if that's going to happen tonight. It's getting late. We'll get them up over the weekend. Been a great run of shows. Really appreciate all the kind feedback, and I know I don't get back to a lot of the emails. I apologize. I read everything, and I take it all in. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. I appreciate it. Look for episode 160 in the next few days. There's a lot going on. We can talk about all sorts of things. So thanks for listening. We will talk to you again very soon.